To disassemble and reassemble your Google Nexus 4, you will need a T5 Torx, small Phillips and bladed screwdriver. You also need a plastic separation tool. You can use a guitar pick, a plastic knife or your thumbnail. Make sure the phone's switched off and then remove the SIM tray. And using your T5 Torx screwdriver, undo these two screws. Now coming round to the side where the SIM tray is, use a thin plastic tool and insert it into this corner here. Once you've got it in, release the clips, which I've marked in white, around the outside edge. Take your time. Keep releasing those clips as you go around. Be careful where the SIM tray is, so it's very weak there. Now don't lift the rear cover away just yet, just lift it away a small amount. And there's two more clips to release. There's one just above the volume key. And on the other side, just above the power switch. Now we can lift the rear case away. Don't worry if the keys fall out, we can put them back later. The rear cover contains a few antennas. This one's for 4G, NFC. This one's for your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, GPS and another 4G antenna. If you need to remove the battery, then we need to undo these two screws. And there's only two of these screws, which have got a very large flat head on, so you can't get them mixed up. Now using the plastic tool, so we don't short the battery out, just lift that ribbon connector off. The battery is extremely well secured with double-sided tape. It will take lots of leverage and some heat to remove it. Start by lifting this tape off and disconnect the 3G GSM antenna cable. And gently move this out of the way so it doesn't get trapped. Now using a thin plastic blade to prevent damage to the battery, lever between the metal case and the plastic blade, trying to lift the battery away. This is coming off a lot easier because I've already done it before, but if you use some heat from a fan heater or hairdryer, it will help you remove the battery. Now we need to undo 9 screws around the outside of this cover. These are all the same size, so you don't have to worry about getting them mixed up. You can skip this stage or any other by clicking next at the top of the video. Now gently release 2 clips on this side. Hold this cover in place. And there's a single clip just over here. Now gently lift the cover away. And this contains the earpiece and the vibrating motor. To replace the ear speaker, lift the ribbon flex away, it's double-sided tape, and gently lever the ear speaker away. If your new one doesn't come with this rubber cover, then you can transfer the cover over to your new speaker. When you put it back together, make sure you line the flex up with this little tag. And place that back in again. And gently push down on the flex. To remove the vibrating motor, gently lever from this side. Again, double-sided tape. And then put your new one back in again. To replace the micro USB socket, you will need to remove the loudspeaker housing. After removing 2 silver screws, lever from here and lift away. This also contains the 3G and GSM antenna. And if your new loudspeaker doesn't come with this rubber microphone gasket, you can lift it away and put it into your new one. Now we need to disconnect this antenna cable. Using a small blade, gently twist and lift the cable away from the board. Lift that away and put that aside. Now carefully unplug the USB flex, and if you want to reuse this, gently rock it side to side, just some double-sided tape holding it in. If you're replacing it, then don't worry about any damage. Just gently move it around and that'll come away. This USB flex contains the notification LED. The main microphone is here and the sound enters from this side. And your micro USB port. If you need to replace your headphone jack, then start by disconnecting the flex cable. Then insert a screwdriver and gently move side to side to separate the double-sided tape. Now be careful, there's a very small rubber gasket which is easily lost. So be careful not to lose that. So this is the ambient light sensor and your proximity sensor. When you replace the rubber gasket, make sure this small tag points towards the centre of the headphone jack. To remove the camera, disconnect this flex cable. This is for the main display, and push that back and gently disconnect the camera. And lift that away. If you need to remove the main board, then disconnect this flex cable here. This is for the digitizer. And push that back. Using a small screwdriver, push the SIM tray release catch through and the main board will lift away nice and easy. This is your forward facing camera. You can remove and replace this. Gently lift that away from the main board. And then you can plug your replacement back in again. This is your secondary microphone. The SIM tray is replaceable using a soldering iron. There's a solder point in each corner and there's 7 in the centre. This would normally be done using a hot air soldering iron. These are the connections for your NFC antenna, and if you're recovering from water damage, there might be water trapped underneath the LED flash lens. It might be possible to remove this by unclipping these middle clips around the side. This device also has a small hole, so make sure there's no water trapped in there. To remove the volume keys, gently twist and lever them away from the case. Same with the power switch. Gently twist and lift that out. And if you have trouble, you can use some tweezers. If you have a new screen that doesn't come with this metal frame, you will need to use heat to help separate the frame from the screen. You can follow this link for a video on how to do this. For reassembly, start by taking the volume switches and make sure the 3 gold contacts have the open end going towards the front. So this way round, and place that into the chassis. Take the power switch and again make sure the open ends of the contacts go towards the front. Now take the main board and gently offer it into place, making sure that it sits down nicely. Now move those flex cables out the way and replace the camera. So place that in and line up that flex connector. Just keep moving it around until you feel it snap down into place. Now we can reconnect the display. Just gently push down until you feel it snap down. And this is the Digitizer. Now we can replace the headphone jack. So make sure that small rubber gasket is on your proximity sensor. And just try and slide that underneath the main board. And make sure that's pushed all the way down. If the proximity sensor isn't pushed all the way home, it can cause problems. And reconnect the flex cable. Moving down to the bottom, we can now replace the USB flex. So offer it into the case and make sure that USB port is pushed all the way in and the board is sitting nice and flat. If it's a new USB flex, then it won't have this bend in the cable. So using a blunt instrument, you'll need to push and put a bend in the cable and then plug it in. Now we can reconnect the 3G and GSM antenna flex. Plug this end in first and gently bring it down into place, making sure that locates in the case. And these little clips. Once you're satisfied that's sitting down nicely, you can replace the loudspeaker antenna assembly. Just push the bottom in first, and that should snap down into place. Now we can replace the plastic cover. Pushing the clips in. And there's another clip over this side. Now we can replace those 9 screws. Now replace the 2 silver screws in the speaker housing. Now move the antenna flex out of the way and replace the battery. Make sure you put it right over to the outside edge of the phone to leave a space for the antenna flex on this side. Give that a good push to stick it down and reconnect the antenna flex. And make sure that cable is pushed down. Now replace the tape. And now we can reconnect the battery. So bring the plug down, line it up with the screw holes and push it down, and replace those 2 large headed screws. A final check to make sure everything's sitting down nicely. And once you're satisfied that's okay, we can replace the rear cover. If you're replacing the rear cover, you may have to exchange the volume and power keys over to your new case. Now the key should have a little tag which holds them in place, but it was missing on this one, so you can use some tape to hold it in place while you put the cover back on again. If it does have a tag, then it will look like this. And you can remove that and put that into your new case. When you put it back in, make sure the little tag is sitting underneath those plastic pins. Now we can replace the cover. So offer the volume key up to the phone first and bring that down and gently squeeze it into place. So make sure the top's pushed down. Once you're satisfied that's done, you can replace your SIM card and switch the phone on. And while we're waiting for that to boot up, we can replace those two T5 screws. And we now have a fully restored Google Nexus 4. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and give me the thumbs up, and I'll be sure to make some more.